All right, we are recording.
John, you're just going so fast.
Hey now, settle down. No, that's what just happened to me on. This is the John and Tara Bachman podcast, and we are helping promote some things on social media. And I just got shut down on Twitter because they said I was misusing the features because I was going too fast. So Twitter literally thought that I was a bot propagating pages and promoting. You're going too fast.
You kind of are. You're a little out of this world.
I was a little bottish.
Yeah. So this is going to be part 2, and you seem to remember this will be more you, because I answered a lot of the questions or filled in.
Well, I posted the last one under Unity Through Shared Adversity, and then I changed the name of it this morning. I added to the title, what is the way? And there's a way about you. And then Unity Through Shared Adversity, episode 1. And so if we can move through, this will be episode 2, and it looks like you have notes there now.
Well, I had to refresh my memory. And so last time...
I like it when you refresh your memory.
Oh, yeah. Then last time I spoke mostly about what I've had to get out of my own way about the primary thing. So this one's about you, John.
Oh, no.
In what way have you had to get out of your own way?
Oh, no. Well, I'll admit it to everybody. I'm on a coffee fast, and I found myself mindlessly, like the bot I am, just kind of hitting different coffee shops along the way when I was going into the cities, and I was trying different coffee. So I was asking about roasts and stuff, and then I was trying different things, because one good way to try, drinking coffee black is a good way. But if you like it with stuff, then you want to try and have the same thing across different roasts, right? So I was getting the cappuccino breve, which is a cappuccino made with half and half instead of skim, whole, or regular milk, right? 2%, whatever. And any of those other things that don't have... I don't drink any of the nut milks because that just sounds gay to me. And I don't drink any of the squished milks like oats or anything like that because
you're not a horse.
Well,
apparently.
Nuts and oats don't have teats, so there's no way to milk them.
Yeah.
So it's basically just colored and flavored water.
They're so
it's not
tiny you just can't see them.
Okay, so ants are milking the nuts.
Yeah, probably.
Okay.
They're a good worker class.
Okay, so it's ant nut milk. So no, I don't drink any of the gay milks. And so I'm using the premise of, just trying something across many, and I was drinking too much coffee. All right, I'll admit it. I had to get out of my own way, and it's been a torturous 4 days so far.
It's been 4 days. What is it that you're actually missing?
4 or 5 days.
What is
My body is missing.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's a withdrawal.
Oh.
I'm a little bit, I think I'm a little bit irritable. I have been feeling more like I want to go exercise, that's for sure. And we've had really hot days, so I've been sweating kind of oddly. I think my body is going through a little detox. And my brain is constantly telling me,
Get some coffee.
Get some coffee. Yeah. So maybe I was an addict. I don't know. Maybe.
So do you think it's coffee or caffeine? I mean, you're having...
Most definitely caffeine.
Okay.
I'm having a cacao tea this morning. I didn't look and see if it's caffeinated.
Cacao has caffeine in it.
Okay. Like coffee, it's naturally occurring. Which is fine. Caffeine is a insecticide. So it's the plant's defense against insects. So basically, you're drinking a toxin to another living being and getting your rush off of it. I just think it's habitual more than anything, because you and I mean, we're sitting here and I'm thinking we're going to do a podcast, but then I'm thinking, well, what am I going to be drinking warm out of a mug?
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
It's kind of a little pleasure, right? And it just seems to kind of bring out the discussion, the idea that you're relaxing and you're going to sit here until whatever's in your mug is gone, right?
Yeah.
And I only have one mug. I don't have a thermos of coffee sitting here that I make my butter coffee with.
You're not pouring me my sippy cup.
I know. We didn't have any of the sound effects, the little trickle of the coffee.
But we can do our...
No, well, okay.
Yeah.
Cheers.
That was neat. Those are ceramic cups.
That was a ceramic clink.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
So, not ceramic, sorry. Pottery clink. Those aren't ceramic, those are clay.
Okay.
So
it is.
Sorry to get so technical.
It reminds me of when we did the lemonade diet fast.
The Master Cleanse.
Master Cleanse, yeah. And so you're just drinking this. I mean, look it up. It's pretty amazing.
I did the Master Cleanse twice before you did it once. So
I was really intimidated.
I was way ahead of you. You were like the first couple times. You were like, "How you doing? How you doing?" You're like, "Why do you keep going to the fridge?"
Yeah. Well, that's exactly it, is that you find out what your habits are and what your addictions are in a number of ways. And the number of times that you go to the fridge or the cabinet, even if you're not hungry, that it's just something you do. And how much time one spends in preparing food, cleaning up, is just astounding when you do something like that. So when you're talking about, the habitual... a lot of people, the habitual manner of coffee and coffee drinking, it really is an experience.
It's a ritual.
It's a ritual, yeah.
Because it's a slow process. Nowadays you can have a push button espresso, or you can have one of these little machines with the little plastic cups or whatever. We don't have any of that. We grind. Let me tell people, first of all, you don't want to buy ground coffee, and you don't want to pre-grind your coffee more than a day or two ahead of time, because it starts going rancid right away. Mm-hmm. So most Americans are drinking rancid, mold-filled, old, bad coffee with rancid oils. When you see the oil on the inside of your container, that means the coffee's going rancid. So you want to be careful, and that's where a lot of allergens come from. A lot of inflammation in the body and that kind of stuff from mold and all that stuff, the mycotoxins. And you can look it up and listen to it on the internet. I don't have to fill everybody in on it, but it's a ritual. You choose your bean, right? Right now in our house we have 7 different roasts, and they're all shipped in from Colombia, all after they've been roasted, so it's the freshest Colombian coffee you can get.
So that's not even the bean, you skipped to roast.
Well, we have the beans. We have whole beans, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
that's what you meant.
we have 7 different roasts, and we have 5 different beans, I believe. I'd have to go look, but that's about what it is. And so then you choose your bean, right? You choose what you want to do, and if you're going to be real critical, you're going to tear apart your grinder every time you change coffee, because you don't want to mix them, right?
I don't know. Who would be that critical, John?
I don't know. Probably.
So if anyone's unfamiliar with choosing your bean, it would be similar to choosing a different kind of apple variety.
Yeah, or wine.
A grape varietal.
Chocolate.
And then... wine is a good example, because you have a different grape varietal, and then the process of how it's made can change it even more. Mm-hmm. So that would be akin to the roasting. So that's a good comparison. Yeah.
Yes, it is.
So the native root, they do heritage varieties of coffee.
Yep. They do have a couple of modern, but they're doing mostly old stuff. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Heritage breeds, the Catura and the Colombiana, the early stuff, that Juan Valdez was bringing down from the hills.
Good old Juan.
Yeah. Him and his donkey. His donkey's name was Bill, I think.
Yeah.
Juan and Bill.
Juan and Bill.
Yeah.
It's not number 6.
It was Juan and Bill's Excellent Adventures in Colombia.
That's good. We need an infographic image of that one and Bill. Yeah.
Yeah. So the master cleanse, you brought up the master cleanse, because I'm on a coffee fast, and that's part of me getting out of my own way, because we ascribe to things like nourishing traditions where you should eat seasonally, and you should eat for your local environment, right? Well, we're in the same time zone as
as Colombia.
So that's
it's local. It's the same time.
That's my justification for local.
Yeah.
Yeah, on the same latitude at least, right? So, so we want to not always eat and drink the same things all the time,
Yeah.
And so changing it up. I felt that I needed to change it up a little bit.
So you're drinking our local cacao tea?
I'm drinking a cacao tea. Cacao is probably from Colombia or Brazil. I don't know. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I needed something warm in a mug so we could have a podcast.
Yeah. I'm having Earl Grey. I do enjoy an Earl Grey tea,
yes.
English breakfast tea.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. It is quite caffeinated. I haven't
Ta-ta.
I didn't feel that I was, like, I've gone no coffee with you because I'm on your team. I love you.
Oh, you're supporting me.
I'm supporting you. And I haven't gone decaf. I mean, I had kombucha the other day, but it definitely decreased a lot of caffeine because I was enjoying the leftover coffee, which I really enjoy your butter coffee when it's cold.
Yeah.
So we would have it hot one day and then there would be leftovers and it would be cold. And it's just like yummy.
Yeah, creamy, smooth, and
right.
Yeah,
refreshing,
cool,
and so I was drinking quite a bit of caffeine.
You're really
in the
cute
morning.
this morning, by the way.
Really? Why am I so cute?
Well, I can't tell everybody all the reasons, but you're really cute.
Okay.
Yeah.
You can't even say one.
I kind of liked it when you were describing how you like the cold butter coffee. You kind of had a little bit of a head tilt and a little wiggle in your
a milkshake,
body.
And yeah, it's
your milkshake
cool and creamy.
To the yard, that's
yeah.
Whatever yard you're in, that's where I'm at.
The backyard.
The backyard.
The garden. That's not sexy.
Yeah, it is.
I
watched you in the garden.
You wouldn't even. Would you want to guess what I found in the middle of the garden the other day?
What do I want to guess? A thimble.
It might as well have been a thimble.
Is it a plant thing or is it an object?
It's an object of yours.
An object of mine.
Yes.
Interesting. Something fell out of my pocket?
Maybe. I don't know. I'm like, how did this end up out here? This is hilarious.
Wow.
A sock.
Well, I was stripping in the garden.
Yes. You were doing your sunbathing?
Oh, yeah. I walked in the dirt barefoot the other day. I took off. It fell off the 4-wheeler.
There you go.
That's why.
See?
Yeah. Well,
and I'm like, do you know what?
Okay,
I find them around the house, but now the garden?
This is why this is funny.
What?
Yeah. So I leave my socks everywhere. Well, mostly in like 2 or 3 places, not everywhere. Mm-hmm. I'll come in. I'll sit down on the couch and I'll take my socks off, right? And then I just toss them over on the rug by the coffee table or whatever.
And the rug is bigger now, so you have a bigger space to toss them
Thank
in.
you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, so that's why this is so funny, because you're like, oh, I guess John is in the...
He's expanding my territory.
He owns the garden. He's in the garden.
This is his territory.
Getting undressed in the garden. Well, at least I don't pee everywhere, trying to mark my territory.
Yeah, then our rooster really would have a problem.
I just drop socks.
Just drop socks.
Yeah. That should be my new rap song.
Dropping socks.
Drop them like they're tight. Because sometimes they feel restrictive on your feet.
Oh,
right?
well, they definitely are. I can see that. And that actually is a thing. Like if people have foot problems, that your socks are too tight.
Oh.
Yeah, it's like having too tight of shoes.
Oh.
Just...
Just after wearing them for most of the day, I'm just like, oh, I gotta get them off.
Yeah.
Gotta go run in the wilderness barefoot like my ancestors.
Yeah. In the cold fjord.
It got warm in Norway.
Yeah, for like a month.
We were Sami. We were deer herders, so we went barefoot.
Probably
if
melting the snow.
If you stepped on the deer droppings, then you got a psychedelic experience because the deer were eating mushrooms and stuff.
Are deer ruminants?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think it happens with ruminants in particular.
Yeah.
Wow, that was a tangent.
What's a ruminant? They have multiple stomachs?
Yeah.
Okay. Just educating the public.
I don't know if they're ruminants. They're
reindeer.
Yeah. Let's see. It starts with a V. They're a different kind of.
A valiant ruminant?
No, it's a. Are you looking it up?
Yeah, I got it.
Okay, then I won't look it up.
I'm Jamie for this podcast.
Great, thanks. Thanks, Jamie. John.
How do you spell ruminant?
I think it's RUMI. Are deer.
I almost got there.
They are.
Resolving ruminants. All right. The reindeer, also known as the caribou in North America, species of deer with a circumpolar distribution native to Arctic, subarctic, tundra, boreal, and mountainous regions. Wow, they get around.
Yeah.
Are they like other ruminants? Reindeer rely on highly specialized, complex, blah blah blah.
Great.
Grasses and stuff.
There you go. Yeah. I was learning about ruminants the other day too. I listened to that podcast with Will Winter, our veterinary friend.
Our natural vet.
Yes. Totally natural.
Supernatural.
He actually consults with.
He undresses in the garden too.
Probably. But he consults farms that are raising their cattle 100% naturally. So beef cows would be 100% grass fed.
Yeah. No antibiotics, no medications, no nothing. Yeah.
And so it's about the soil, right? It's about the plants that they're eating have to be nutrient dense and so forth. And so it's really fascinating. That's not our business, but it is our business in the sense we'll be putting out some classes with him on natural pet care alternatives. So he's been a vet for over 30 years. And I'm looking forward to it because we'll be bringing it to household pets.
Yeah.
Knowledge for that. So just really cool stuff. I don't remember so it was fun.
Good. Yeah. He was on the biz cows or the.
No, I was going to look it up. It has a really cute logo. I'm sure they love hearing that. It's the
business cows or
you sent it to me the other day.
I did.
Okay, now, hey Jamie.
All right.
Jamie, will you look that up, please? It's really worth listening to. I mean, even if you're just into nutrition, nourishing traditions type stuff, and natural pet care. Yeah. It really helps you to understand the good foundation.
For sure, if you're in a health crisis and you're trying to get healthy, get your food straight.
Absolutely. And then your food needs to be straight. If your plants need to be grown in rich soil and the animals need to be eating nutrient dense food. And so he talks about the supplements that he formulates for these herds. And it's really so the ruminants, what he was talking about is the tradition of using
working cows, not business cows.
Yeah.
Working Cows podcast on iTunes, or Apple Podcast now.
It's episode 244.
Episode 244, Will Winter.
Yeah. Really great, natural livestock health. And so in this he talks about apple cider vinegar and how dramatically it helps digestion, and particularly in cows. He would say, he grew up on a farm. He said, I think he graduated, in was it 62 that he said he said he graduated in 62. So he's got some experience behind him. Yeah. And so growing up on the farm, he said, it was a fairly regular thing to come up upon a cow that had bloat. And if it wasn't dead, you would feed it a cup of apple cider vinegar, and sure enough, even within 20-30 minutes, the cow would get up, relieve itself of its gas, and then continue grazing.
Cow farts?
Well, I think he was saying burping, but they might be farts too. But he said burping.
Ocasio-Cortez is correct. There's cows farting.
Well, John, who didn't know that? I mean, I bet that happens. So and then he's like, the things that people knew traditionally, right?
Mm-hmm.
That he's like, his dad, I think he said, had ulcers or something, and it just, has helped many people.
Well,
with
we had
that.
an employee here that had ulcers, and I introduced him to apple cider vinegar, and he was going to the doctor, taking medications, and he started apple cider vinegar and never had any more problems.
And it's just incredible.
It's
so
not promoted because you can make it yourself if you want. It can be free.
And he had said it's one of the only things that you feed to livestock, and it will return multiple fold in its investment.
Yeah.
So you use 10 cents worth of apple cider vinegar, and you get $1 worth of return.
Well, we put it in our chicken's water.
Yep.
With garlic. We chop garlic cloves, put it in the apple cider, and then we pour that mixture minus the cloves. I leave them in the container, right? We don't want the cloves going into the water.
Yeah.
Because the apple cider extracts from the garlic, and then we just pour. I put, I don't know, 4 or 5 teaspoons in 5 gallons.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah. So just fascinating, and so how he had a few stories of how he or other farmers had bought some just kind of by the wayside kind of cows and totally turned them around.
Yeah.
And
well, if you have that kind of knowledge, you could buy something for pennies on the dollar. You could buy a sick cow and turn it into a healthy cow.
Yeah. But a large part of it too is just even improving the soil and the plants that the cows are eating. So they'll still need supplements, but he's saying, absolutely don't use a salt lick. Apparently cows only have a certain number of licks in their day. And, if they're ruminants, right, they can only use their tongue so much. And so
Why is that?
Why is that?
Yeah. So if a cow at the beginning of the day is talking to his cow mate,
Yeah.
the bull's talking to the cow. Like by the afternoon, the cow is talking back to the bull. By the afternoon, the cow can't talk anymore because she talked too much. She used her tongue to talk too much. So that sounds interesting.
It wasn't about talking. It was about licking and curling up the grass in your mouth, I'm sure.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. So it was neat. It was interesting learning about cow behavior and just really bringing back the traditional knowledge. So
we started out talking
tangent.
about the way, getting out of your way on
Yeah.
the last podcast. So what would a cow say about that?
Get out the way.
Move.
Get out the way. Oh, John. Actually, the apple cider vinegar increases the butter fat in the cow's milk without harm to the mom.
Nice.
Isn't that awesome?
Nice. Yeah. Oh man, we gotta
So
talk
get
to
out
some
the
farmers.
way.
Get out the way. WHEY.
Increase the.
Yeah.
Didn't you? Wasn't that what you were thinking?
No.
No?
You were double entendering
I
me
was
right away.
before you.
I didn't.
I thought you were double entendering me, and then
No. I was like, move.
Yes, and get out the way. Okay,
Yeah.
wow.
No, I didn't know apple cider vinegar increased the butter fat.
Yeah, so technically there should be less whey. Get out the way.
Yeah, but they use the whey for everything nowadays because they don't use the whey traditional or the milk traditionally anymore. They make all these other products and protein products and casein products and tons of products from the milk. It'd be interesting to look up how many products are made from cow's milk.
Hey, Jamie, can you look that up? I don't know if that's, maybe we could look that up at another time. But I'm going to address, John, I don't know. So I shared something pretty significant that I have been working on, getting out of my own way about money and finances.
Okay.
My whole adult life.
Yeah.
You just shared something that you're trying to get out of your way for the last 4 days. So
That's because everything else is taken care of.
I'm gonna dig deeper with you.
Okay.
Well, or even bring up a past thing that you had to get out of your own way and you learned from and was significant.
I have to think. The coffee thing is big for me. It's a because it's not just it's a relationship, especially between me and you. Sitting here in the morning doing our talks with each other, having a cup of coffee. Mm-hmm. This morning where I'm having cacao tea, you're having Earl Grey.
Earl Grey.
And it's a thing, right? It's not just me sneaking a Twinkie, or, going to McDonald's or something, which I haven't done in 33 years, It's not that, my wife doesn't like me doing something, so I got to do it when she's not around. It's literally like some fabric between us, and when you sit down, we have friends over for coffee, and I make, three pots of, butter coffee, and, everybody's sitting around, and everybody's ranting and raving about how good it is, and
then you get your kudos.
Well, it's maybe.
Well, there's nothing wrong with that. I'm just saying it's part of the environment.
Okay, all right, yeah, I feel really good when people like the stuff I make, right?
Yeah, you do make awesome stuff.
Yeah, stuff.
Yeah, stuff and stuff. Well, I think that's why what can make certain addictions, like alcohol addiction, so much more challenging, where like someone's like, I'm just a social drinker, and it's like, well, yeah, to really change, some people have to entirely change their friendship. Well, you just brought it up.
Well, drinking more than anything, you're altering your state of consciousness. I mean, not more than anything, but drinking more than coffee, you're altering your state of consciousness, and it's what they call it, a social lubricant, right? It's like some people might be, a little bit more introverted, but then they have a drink or two, and then they're like, hey, blah, blah, blah. They're able to talk to people, and so. Coffee probably does that in a sense, as you get the caffeine moving, you get a little more chatty, a little more, your brain's moving a little more, you're talking a little bit faster, whatever it is. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so there's a lot to it. If I had to think of something that was something I had to get over to change something, maybe stop some. The thing I always talk about, the daily decrease, and that's part of what this is. I just stopped coffee because I hadn't drank coffee till I was about 30, 31, and I don't think when we got together, I don't think I was drinking coffee.
No, we would get an occasional caribou and share a mocha,
so,
but
for the first 5 years. Well, coffee was so interactive on me. It was like if I had coffee, it was like, I remember drinking coffee every now and then when I was working out and doing pull-ups, and I couldn't do infinite number of pull-ups, but I could do 30, 40, 50, 60 just because I had a espresso. And I was like, holy cow, no wonder people use this stuff. It's and I was in phenomenal shape at that time. Ripping out 20 pull-ups was not a problem. So add coffee, and it just kind of energized everything. And but I didn't do it often because I didn't like the way that stimulant kind of things made me feel, and I was racing and all that, so I had a really clean diet and really pure thought process about my body and my health and that kind of stuff. So.
Did you cover this? What initiated you to omit it for a while? Or you said 30 days.
I think that's going to be really hard. Especially drinking this flavorless cacao tea. It's comparatively flavorless. I think it's summer now, and I like warm. I don't necessarily like cold coffee, like even the day old cold butter coffee. I like it room temperature, And Kitty is throwing up a hairball or something.
So, but what prompted you to?
I think summer. I think the heat. Thinking about biking more, doing that kind of stuff. Every time I want to trim up, tone up, I think of changing everything I'm doing. It's just natural. When I was racing regularly, I would race motocross in the summer and snowcross in the winter. And so I was on quite a workout schedule. It didn't really change. If I was only racing motocross, I would have seasonal training, right? And so when I think of training, working out and stuff, I think about cutting out the things that might hold me back, you know. And I am 52, you know. I've got pretty good muscles, but I'm getting to that age where obviously I'm gonna just lean out and bulk up like a lot of those guys you see in their 60s. You know, they're just ripping up, and you get a lot more tan. You grow this magnificent beard that's all manicured and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, that just happens when you're over. I think it's over 55.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I can feel it. It's starting.
It's yeah.
Now those are the guys taking testosterone. So anyway.
So it's kind of part of a refinement process.
No, I don't know. You know,
Getting out of
you know
your
me.
way.
Why did I do the master cleanse the first time? You know, I wanted to try it, and I've drank coffee now since I was probably 40.
At the earliest, probably.
Maybe 45 regularly, and now
Yeah.
I'm 52. So it's been a good 7 or 8 years of consistently having coffee, maybe every other day, you know, three or more times a week, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, I kind of felt like I was overdoing it. Maybe my adrenals were a little bit taxed, and I want to feel more natural energy instead of like boosted energy, you know. So yeah, that's probably a thing getting out of my way. You know, you know me. You've seen me do things. You know, I took you know, rat tapeworms to recondition my gut to be able to handle gluten and that kind of stuff. And people are gonna be like, "Did he just say rat tapeworms?" Yes, rat tapeworms. Bought them from a company in England, and or I should say in the UK, and you know, they're shipped over here, and then you take them in a pill form, and they
go through a cycle.
They hatch in your stomach or in your gut, and they live for about 3-4 weeks at the most, and it conditions your gut for gluten. So
yeah, pretty fascinating.
yeah, so I experiment with myself every now and then. I've never taken a psychedelic. Some people say when you go off coffee and you get back on it, it's psychedelic, but I don't think that's true. I don't think good, clean coffee is going to be psychedelic. I think the moldy coffee could be psychedelic. You know, that there's a fungus in the coffee.
That could be.
Yeah, and that might be the psychedelic effect that guy I listened to was talking about. He didn't say what kind of coffee it was. You know.
So what is something that you've changed in your life in the past?
You're not going to let it go, are you?
Yep. That when you had a come to John moment.
Oh, geez.
Yeah.
Come on.
And
What do
you had to come around to yourself, right?
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
I get it.
And
you're just using phrasing that.
It's a little too heavy for you.
Well, you are the heavy in this relationship.
Yeah. So, what is it that you had to get out of your own way?
Well, I'm in a major process right now, and part of it I'm not gonna divulge most of it, because when you're in a process, you don't want to be talking about it.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be now. I'm sure you've had other experiences in life.
Okay, all right. I'll talk about women.
Okay. Our favorite topic.
This is the episode.
Yeah.
All right. So, I was married before you 3 times, and I married you. So that means I've officially have been legally married 4 times, and I have only had one wife, and that's you. I don't say that just for your benefit. I say that for the benefit of people understanding that, you know, if you're in a situation that you know you shouldn't be in, you're obligated to get out. You're, as a human spiritual entity that is here to learn and process while you're here learning, and apply that learning to further the evolvement of your soul, your spirit, and the knowledge that you gain and that you take away with you, you are obligated to not lock yourself in to a terrible situation that you can get out of. Okay, and there are many reasons why people will stay in bad relationships. I had a motivating factor in the sense that I had, the first gal that I married was the mother of I'll say the birth mother. I'm not trying to offend anybody, but of my child. 3 months after he was born, she took off and decided she didn't want to be a mother. So again, I'm not trying to offend anybody. If she happens to listen to this podcast, I'm just stating what happened. I was left as a 19-year-old young man with a 3-month-old, and a lot of people would say, wow, you had a lot of decisions to make, because I've heard that, and I didn't have any decisions to make. I had a life to live, I had a life to lead, and I had a child to raise. And officially, so if ever anybody listening, what I did is I sat down with my parents and I said, I don't know if I can do this alone, because as a young man, as a 19-year-old, I already had a full-time job since I was 15 years old. So I had been working full-time for 4 years at that point, almost 5 years. And I said to my parents, I don't know if I can do this alone. And they were very gracious. They were who they are. You know who they are. And they said, we will help wherever we can. We talked about babysitting. We talked about, if I'm working late, if my son would stay overnight with my parents, we talked about everything. And I was not living at home at that time. I moved back home for roughly about 6 months, because after my child's mother left, she left with a checkbook and she spent a lot of money, $27,000 to be exact. And I was 19 years old, and I ended up in court, and I ended up strapped with having to pay that off. There was no getting out of things like that back then. If you wrote a check to somebody, you're obligated to pay it. And there wasn't settlements and things like there are nowadays, right? That people talk about or go through. And so this whole process jaded me heavily, real heavily. Now, like I said about being in a marriage, obviously after she left and there were things happening, I filed for divorce, and I got full physical custody, and we had joint legal custody just in case she happened to see him, if he had to go to the hospital, that kind of stuff, right? So it was 12 years that I was in and out of some relationships. I got married 2 other times, but I was a single dad. I was married for short time periods, and the motivating factor of being able to say to myself, I can't stay in these relationships, was that I had a son, that I had a child, that made me look at situations from the standpoint of, what is this going to do for him or to him? And the women that I was with were really good at playing games. And so, you're in a relationship with somebody, you think they're something, you marry them, they turn into something else. And even statements were made, yeah, well, I got you, and I'm like, so you're a different person than you were, and I am who I am, I'm whatever I want to be, blah, 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 that kind of stuff. And I'm like, well, I'm a father, I got a child, I got responsibilities to take care of. And so through, multiple bad relationships, it really jaded me. And I realized one day that I was making bad choices, even though I could tell myself, well, they acted like one way, I thought to myself, there's got to be a way for me to not be making these choices, even though I might be thinking I'm making good choices, and then after the fact I can blame it on somebody else. I wasn't satisfied with that. I wasn't satisfied being a blamer, because I've always been a person that is forward looking, educating myself, moving in what I think is the right direction. and running at it. You know, I'm a runner. You know, if I do something, I usually have it done and in place, and I've usually either succeeded or failed before other people even realize what I'm doing. And if I fail, I'm on to the next thing incredibly quick. And if I succeed, I am branching that success out in multiple areas. You know, I put out feelers to find out, you know, is this success going to work here? Is it going to work there? If there's failure, which, you know, I just basically nip it at the bud and grow a new bud, right? Move on. And bud is not a reference to marijuana here, everybody. So it's a reference to a flowering plant. You know.
Grow a new bud.
Yeah, grow a new bud. Somebody steals your bud, grow a new bud. So I realized I was majorly in my own way. And I don't know, you've heard this story, you've heard stories, and I don't know if this is the thing that you thought you may want me to talk about, and I'm sure you're very altruistic, and it's like, whatever comes up, you know, talk about whatever comes up. But this is the major thing, right? This is what led me to you.
I didn't have a specific idea. I just wanted to push for something that I know was more life-altering for
Substantive.
you. Because when you're in your own way, it ends up being something that you think you're doing okay, or you're getting along, or you might even just be ignoring the issue and just like, I want to do it this way.
Well, when you're in your own way, it becomes the way. It becomes the way you are. You know, there's so many euphemisms to this phrase, you know. Somebody will say, well, that's just the way they are, you know, and they're saying that's the way, you know. They like I said, the Tao is the way, right? So the Tao of Zen, the Tao of Jeet Kune Do, the Tao of Buddhism, the Tao, the way of, right? The Tao of Christianity, you know, the way of. And so when somebody says that's the way that person is, they're literally talking about a process, a structure, a strategy, an all-encompassing thing that people don't think about language that often. That, you know, most people. But we need to think about the language and what we're saying.
Yeah.
And so I was in my own way, and that means I was stuck in a way that was not helping me. And I was choosing women based on things that I thought I needed, wanted. You know, I listen to all these people write all these lists. You know, they go like, well, if I'm gonna have a man, he's gonna do this for me. If I'm gonna have a woman, she's gonna do this for me. If I'm gonna do this, you know, if I'm gonna have a girl, you know, and she better not be upset about me wanting to be with other girls. You know, if I'm taking care of her, and if I'm putting up the money, I'm the boss. You know, and you know, it's like, wow, man. You know, there's so many adolescent adults, you know, running around, and just stuck in a you know, this is mine, and if I want to give you some, you can have it, but it's still mine.
Would you say that you were an adolescent adult at that point?
Yes, but I was trying to be an adult because I had a child, right?
Yeah.
And so, you know, leading on to when my son was about 12 years old, you know, that would have made me 20 or 30, and that's when I met you. You know, and he had just turned 12, maybe 11.
He was 11 when we met.
Yeah. Excuse me. So I literally had an epiphany one afternoon and realized that I was making bad decisions. You know, first of all, I thought I had to be married, you know, because my parents are still married. My parents have been married for 54 years and 55 years now. And I thought, okay, well, I have a kid. I got to be married, right? You know, I need a female figure, a mother figure in his life. I need someone who will want to care for him, and someone he can call mom, you know, because his mom wasn't in the picture. And so I tried multiple times, and then I didn't write off women, obviously, but you know, I was trying to have a checklist. I was trying to be like, okay, I've seen that before, you know, and then one day I just realized that I can't do it. You know, I was a motocross racer. I was a nationally known martial arts instructor. I was I'm an NLP practitioner. I'm a remote viewer. I'm a machinist. I'm a tool maker. I'm a business owner. I was accomplished in all these areas, right? I was like, I could choose a person. But that's the hardest thing you'll ever do. That's the most complex thing that you will ever do, is choose a person to spend your life with. And I literally said out loud, I was in my bedroom, I had put my son to bed, and I was in my bedroom, and I had an epiphany, but then I had a breakdown. It was like when I had that epiphany, I realized how like super incapable I was, and it was just like it affected me physically, and I literally fell to my knees. I was right next to my bed. I fell to my knees, and my arms fell on my bed. It was a praying position. It's like these things are not made up. It's not made up that why do they kneel in church and fold their hands and bow their head and pray? It's a total submission to for me, it was a total submission to the realization of the fact that I was so fallible, that I was so incapable of something, that I reached out. My whole being, my whole essence reached out to whoever was willing to help me, whoever was paying attention, that was going to help me in my life to do good, to have the correct things, to have the things I needed, to have the things I want, hopefully, but for sure the things I needed, right? The things I need from a relationship, we're getting there. I mean, you and me, we're literally getting there. It's been 22 years now, and we're literally getting there. And I can't imagine who I would be if I kept filing through the women, trying to find the perfect woman. You have to grow with a person. And one of two things will happen if you're in a relationship. You'll either grow together or you'll grow apart. Those are the only two things that can happen. And I had such an epiphany. I said, I can't do this anymore. I said, I'm not going to try and date somebody. I'm not going to try and find somebody. I said, I was praying to God. I was like, if you're listening, I'm saying, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm not going to do it anymore. If there's somebody out there for me, bring her to me. If there isn't, I'm okay being just a single guy. I could be a single guy and, have a date and even have sex with somebody and have a tryst or an interlude or whatever you want to call it, and then just be alone, be my own person, just not trying to have a relationship. I don't think I would be that kind of guy, like just having sex, because I think that is a very spiritual act, and I know about the energy exchanges and the way that, I know how women feel about it, and I know how guys feel about it. And so I don't know that I would have gone down that path. I probably would have, after my son was old enough, I probably would have gone to a monastery for a couple of years and just been a monk, and then studied that, just to learn about it. But yeah.
So it sounded like you were saying, when you were rattling off, you're a nationally recognized martial arts instructor, NLP practitioner, racer, all these things, that you had ego wrapped up in who you were, and that you would be able to, with your skills, accomplish and get what you want.
I was well known for remote viewing. I turned down the Art Bell program, and there's a lot of, I was in demand for a lot of things for a long time. So did I have ego about it?
Because ego.
My process, well, obviously I have ego. I believe in myself. I believe in my choices, my decisions. I have a different process now than I did then, for sure. not just about picking women, because I'm not picking any more women,
Mm-hmm.
not for 22 years. You know, I wasn't arrogant in an egotistical sense. I just believed I was doing the right thing because it was trial and error, right? I mean, you modify, you change, you grow, you say, no, that's not a good idea. You know, I shouldn't be drinking on the south side of Chicago, and I shouldn't be running around the street hollering, take my money if you dare. You know, I mean, that's a bad idea. You know, it's not a good idea.
Yeah.
You know, so.
But it seems there's a component to getting out of your own way is a realization, oh, I can't do this the way I'm doing it.
It broke me down. I literally fell. I had a spiritual experience. I had the realization was so deep, it went all the way to my spirit. And I think my spirit, my soul, my higher self, I think rejoiced. I think there are only these drastic terms to describe it. You know, when we talk about describing, how does somebody describe a spiritual experience? Usually they can't. They sound like me right now.
There aren't words.
There aren't words.
Yeah.
There are only feelings. There are only every cell in my body is tingling. My whole body is tingling talking about this, and I want that for everybody. I want people to have spiritual experiences so that they know that there is way more than what's being told. You know, to people nowadays. You know, oh, you're a machine, we're going to implant you with all these things, you're going to have Wi-Fi in your head, you have Wi-Fi in your head. You know, it's called a connection to the universe, a connection to God, to the Creator, to the Great Spirit. You know, all indigenous people have had people that talk to Spirit, that bring messages and you know, of doom or prosper, you know, whatever it is. You know, you probably don't need too many messages about prosperity, because if it's happening, it's happening. But, you know, I had an epiphany, I think is a reference to a spiritual awakening kind of thing, you know. And that's what it was. And it wasn't too long after that you walked into my martial arts school, and, you know, and I wasn't trying to date you. I wasn't dating my students. You know, I was just a martial arts instructor, and, you know, and over time, even after me trying to, because I thought you were a great gal, you know, even over time, I tried to set you up with a couple of guys, and you weren't having it, you know.
That's pretty particular.
Yeah. So, you know, I was telling the guys, you know, this is a great gal. She's going to make somebody an awesome wife. You know, and in my mind, you were too young for me, you know, and you were my student. I wasn't thinking about you in that way. But, you know, even when I thought, oh, we might date, you know, we might be together, you know, I thought, well, she's too young for me, you know. And then as we got to know each other,
you're like, I'm too young for her.
Yeah, I was a little bit immature, but
we joke that we met in the middle at about 25.
Yeah.
So Epiphany, the manifestation of Christ to the Gentiles as represented by the Magi, Matthew 2, 1 through 12.
Wow.
Also, the festival, this is, I forget which dictionary. A manifestation of a divine or supernatural being, a moment of sudden revelation or insight.
Yeah.
The Middle English, from Greek, epiphanein, reveal, the sense relating to the Christian festival is via Old French and then Latin.
You know, I've had realizations in the positive sense, but this was a realization that it was so negative, it was positive. It was a realization that I had been doing everything wrong, you know, and didn't know how to do it right. Mm-hmm. And that's when, you know, when they say let go and let God, when they say get out of the way for the universe to work, when they say, you know, and I've told you this many times, if you plan everything, there's no room for creativity. There's no room for the Spirit to move in and work. you know, because you're like, well, this is exactly how I'm doing it. I know every step of the way, every minute is planned out. Everything is going to happen this way. There's no room for epiphany. There's no room for
miracles.
Yeah, a miracle or the mystery to happen, or the, you know, if you believe you're going to make $100,000, you won't make $1 million. You know, you're locking yourself in, and the universe listens, and God listens. You know, oh, that's what you want. Okay, you know, I was going to send you $1 billion, but you just want 100,000. All right, you know. Okay, well, if you'd be satisfied with that, all right, you know, and that's, you know, you want to be careful that you're not so nebulous with everything that nothing can happen. There's a happy medium to everything, right? You know, in between the left and the right, there's the center. And the center is the majority. The majority of people want to live their lives, raise their family, have a decent life. They don't want to hurt people. They want to let people do their own thing, and as long as they're not interfering, that's the majority, right? And in the middle is a balance. So, you know, working for balance between your body, mind, and spirit is the ultimate that you can do here, you know, because as you become balanced, other people become balanced. Other people see it. The more people become balanced, the more that becomes the trend. You know, right now they're trying to trend everything towards unbalance, so that nobody has a foundation to stand on. Nobody has anyone to look up to. Nobody has anything to look forward to or towards. You know, literally that focus of looking forward to something is you focusing your intent and your energy. And, you know, they want everybody, you know, splayed out like floodlights, just looking at everything. And so it's all flooded through the, you know, social media and the news and all that kind of stuff.
So was it an absolute change? Like the next day, things were different?
Totally.
Yeah. And how would you say that I
was able to let go. You know, it was a relaxation of a tension that I didn't realize was there. You know, and yeah, it wasn't long. I mean, it was probably 9 months till I met you, like till you walked into the school. It was just and I think that's about the time frame. But, you know, and our grandfathers died about the same time, and we both know that they brought us together, you know, and that, I mean, literally we're driving down the road, and I looked in my rearview mirror, and I saw your grandfather sitting in our back seat, and I had never seen him, and I described him, and then we went and looked at a picture of him, mm-hmm. And I was like, yeah, that's him.
Yeah.
You were like, oh my gosh, you're describing my grandfather.
Yes. I was going to say something. So what this reminds me of also, you're at a very pivotal time in life, which is typically a very pivotal time for everybody in their life astrologically. Yeah. Which is called the Saturn return. Yeah. And it's helpful actually to be aware of it.
That was my first Saturn return.
That was your first Saturn return. So they happen around, and it depends on your chart, but it's pretty roughly age 28 to 30, and then around age 60 also. So approximately every 30 years. And it is a time where you're really faced with something that really needs to change in your life. And you will be presented with hints about what it is, strong hints. And if you don't make changes, typically change happens to you. Mm-hmm. So for some examples of dramatic instances I've seen, for example, would be a significant car accident. Maybe if you don't have your partying under control, it could be your relationship. Maybe you end a significant relationship.
An illness, like ulcers, you know, like the young guy we talked about that had ulcers.
It might even be what people might consider also a blessing, having a child, but the timing, the circumstance, and so forth may not be that great. So it's typically something very significant and life-changing. And it sounds like for you had already had the circumstances leading up to this, and so you didn't have to have necessarily that you had the epiphany rather than the accident.
You know what I also had was I had a massive amount of tools. I had been a martial arts instructor, and that might sound silly, but I'll finish it. I've been a martial arts instructor at that point for, I was 30, so that would have been about 12 years. 12, 14 years. I was an NLP practitioner. Like I said, I was a remote viewer. The remote viewing brought a spiritual awareness that nothing else had brought. And I had epiphanies or experiences in church, right, as a young boy.
Yeah.
But I think those things happened when I was too young to carry them forward, right?
Yeah.
In a meaningful way. And I had, experiences. I had seen a couple of ghosts or whatever they were. Go ahead.
Can you pause for a
Oh,
moment,
sure.
please?
Yep.
Thank you.
And we'll be right back. Well, stay tuned for part 3.
More to come.
Bye-bye.